tonight, the Arizona Wildcats take on the Embry-Riddle Golden Eagles on ESPN+. We welcome you into McHale Center in Luton Bobby Olson Court. I am Matt Muehlbach with my partner and friend, Reggie Geary. Good to be here, Reg. And Reg, last exhibition game, we saw Arizona looking good. A little bit of a new lineup for Arizona from that last exhibition game against St. Mary's. Arizona beat St. Mary's 81-68, had a really nice last 10 minutes, Reg, and come out here against the Embry-Riddle Golden Eagles.
Yeah, coach changing up the lineup a little bit, want to see some different looks in terms of the starters.
Well, one of those new guys in the lineup, Awaka inside, will be at the 4 position is Brayden Burries, the freshman, scores.
Yeah, and that's what he does. Brayden Burries, a prolific high school scorer, a guy that we look to maybe lead a little bit this year in terms of that category, starts with a bucket early on.
There's that lineup for the Golden Eagles, and look for J.C. Candlin and Isaiah Wong, their 2 guards, and that was Candlin right there. Those guards are not tall. Arizona will have a size advantage, but there's the Arizona lineup right here. And there you mentioned it, Reg, we got Dwayne Aristode now in the starting lineup. Awaka about to do the and one, and Tobe Awaka back from a little bit of an injury, but he's feeling good.
Yeah, he looks good out there on that post move there. Able to kind of get on that left block, rip through the baseline, and use that great strength of his to finish. And so him not playing last game, got to feel good to come out and get that first early bucket. But let's go back up possession. J.C. Candlin for Embry-Riddle comes down, knocks down a big 3. That's big for their program, coming into this type of atmosphere to settle down and get that first bucket.
Yeah, you and I were laughing. We looked at their box score. They played Justice last week at home, and on the box score, their crowd was 75 people.
A little different tonight.
A little different than McHale Center. And Reg, you remember as a player, when you had opponents come in here early, what'd you try to do? Kind of get them off the court right away and try to get those Arizona runs.
Yeah, the big thing is just come out focused. We just want to be focused. We're here in McHale Center. We have a home court advantage, and so we want to use that right off the bat to kind of put people on their back heels. And so, just coming out ready to go with a real good focus and attention here. You can see Arizona early on, 2 post touches on the first 2 possessions. They're going to go inside. There's
Tommy Lloyd, of course, back for his 5th season, an incredible 4 seasons to start here in Tucson. The fans loving him and loving the action. A lot like Lute Olson, up and down, very balanced attack. And Krivos down low, able to get the rebound. A lot of action in the paint. Krivos still able to get it. Back out to Awaka. Interesting, Awaka this year playing a lot of 4, played a lot of 5 last year. I think back to a little more natural. Burries with the bucket in the lane. Yeah, Burries so smooth playing down, able to get to the front of the rim there for an easy bucket. But yeah, this lineup of Awaka and Krivos, this is going to be maybe a Big 12, one of their bigger lineups. Coach Tommy Lloyd has a lot of flexibility. He can play big or small. Tonight, he decided to go a little bigger. Now another outside shot there, right there, and that was one of their leading scorers right there. Noah Gift last year, he was actually the freshman of the year in their conference, a really talented player.
Yeah, Noah Gift, like you say, last year's freshman of the year in the great Southwest Atlantic Conference, and no fear, once again, stepping into that 3, but there is Burries, once just getting down the lane, and then here comes Grift with the 3, so it's 2s versus 3s right now.
Well, and you mentioned it, really good start for Embry-Riddle just to get a couple buckets and tie this thing 6-6. I think if you're Ben Tucker, the former Arizona manager, there's Coach Tuck right there. You actually coached with him, Reg, one of his years here in Tucson as Del Orso hits that little baseline check.
Yeah, well Coach, Tucker done an excellent job so far at Embry-Riddle, and just having these guys playing with a lot of confidence. You see there's no hesitation as Peter Dress knocks down the 3, and that's what he does. He's a 3-point specialist. Last game had 4 for 7, 30 points, so you got to put a hand in his face.
Yeah, Peter Dress, last game we mentioned their game against Justice University. Dress had 30 in that game, actually 4 for 7 from 3. What'd you see here, Reg?
He got his feet set, but really no hesitation. Embry-Riddle came out to play. Give them credit. No hesitation. I think they figured out. I don't think we're going to beat them on 2s, but if we get enough 3s and get enough good 3s, that we have a chance to be competitive.
Now Brayden Burries at the line, McDonald's All-American, and what a player he has been early so far. You see the talent. I walked by him before the game, Reg, and I was really surprised at how big he is for a two guard. You know, just how thick he was, the weight program already hitting him, and just seems ready for Big 12 action today.
And this is the new crop of freshmen. These kids are coming out. They're bigger, they're stronger. They're getting in the weight room with professional trainers earlier, and Brayden's taking advantage of that because, as you say, he has a next-level body, and he takes advantage of it by getting to the rim and kind of bullying these smaller guards, and we've seen that on about 3 or 4 occasions already early in this game.
Bigger than you as a freshman?
A little bit. Just wiry, strong. You know, I like to say, you know, Burries, and you know, when you look at Dwayne Aristode, when you look at Koa Pete, and they're just a different body type to these freshmen's class, and give Chris Rounds a lot of credit. You know, they come in, they put that freshman 10 on 15, and they take advantage.
Well, and you look at Burries right now, playing the point guard position with Jaden Bradley coming off the bench tonight. Now Mo Krivas inside, again getting good position, not able to connect, but drawing the foul. And I think that's going to be something we'll see a lot this year, is Krivas going to the foul line.
No, I mean, he definitely will find himself there a lot. He's a big body. He sets great pick and roll screens, and so there's going to be some separation there. On that last one, he was able to catch the pocket, gather, and you know, I kind of feel a little bit for Ethan Mackin. He's the freshman here, 6'7", 215 in his first, Division I look is the big Mo Krivas.
How about when they come off the bench, Arizona, and they bring in Jaden Bradley? There he is, just sitting this one out at the very beginning tonight. And then Koa Pete comes in as a sub. I mean, if you're Embry-Riddle, you're looking up like, what the heck's going on here?
Yeah, Arizona has great depth this year. They've been really happy so far early in the year with the practices in terms of how competitive they've been, just because they have so many quality bodies. And they're going to be able to hit people in waves. They're going to hit Embry tonight in waves, and as the season goes on.
Well, right now, Arizona, or Embry-Riddle, I should say, hanging in there, down 11-9. And again, Coach Tucker has to be thrilled with this start. Probably a little worried about the size. There's Coach Tuck. And Coach Tuck, interesting story, came here to Arizona.
Was kind of a connector. Ben said, hey, I want to be under Coach Olson's tutelage. I want to be around him and see if that can rub off on me. And his hard work and determination, he was able to make that happen. And he's kind of bounced around a little bit, but now he has his own shop here at Embry-Riddle, and he has his team playing well early. Back into Krivas inside. Mo misses that short one, but able to finish. He's just too big right now for the Eagles. He really is. Taking advantage of his size, and that's good to see. In years past, he didn't really maybe realize how big he was, but I think he has a better understanding now after sitting out a year of, hey, I'm the biggest guy on the court. I can throw my weight around, and it was 4 versus 1 in that last possession. He was able to get the offensive rebound and put back. And Reg, you mentioned it on the open. There's another bucket right there for Gift, and you can tell Gift is a special player out of Surprise, Arizona. Ironwood High School from here, about 215 miles from Tucson. Took the bus down last night. Reggie and I went to practice, and I was impressed with Coach Tucker and his practice. Arizona comes out trying to knock down the 3, and yeah, Coach Tucker did a really good job with his team. He learned under Lou. There he is right there. He actually took a little bit of a break. He then came back and was with Sean Miller when you were an assistant. What'd you see with Coach Tucker when you were the assistant on the bench? You saw the passion, you saw the hunger for a young coach who really, wanted to learn, and he's done that. He's really put himself in good positions. His team runs good stuff. Last night, he had an excellent practice with energy, and you could see he was pouring that into his guys, saying, hey, let's play with confidence. Let's go out there and really compete, and that's what his team has done. And you see there Muhtar Dahl able to tie up Burries there, and so no backing down from the Golden Eagles right now. There's Burries, gets into the lane, and that tie-up right there. You mentioned a couple of new guys in the game for Arizona. You got Bradley back in the point guard position. Koa Pete, the sensational freshman, and then Ivan Karchinkov. I think this guy's going to be a really interesting player, off to a nice start against St. Mary's 9 days ago. Yeah, Ivan Karchinkov, he's talented and has a lot of potential for a freshman. He's one of these overseas guys who comes that already has some professional experience. He played last year for Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga in Germany. Actually played some EuroLeague games, so he's played against grown men. Now he's just adjusting to the college speed in America. His dad, a famous player when he was professional. See Arizona now, you wonder if they kind of dial up some of the D, although a great play out of the inbounds gets him a nice shot. Candle not able to knock it down. There's Karchinkov. Bradley getting to the
Payne Aries searching, Awaka in. Nice job by Mature Dahl there not to foul Awaka. Went straight up right there. Awaka not able to convert. Tell you what, right there.
Yeah.
See that play by Mature Dahl.
Yeah, once again, just sticking their nose in there. Number 13, Peter Dress, once again, not backing down, giving up about 4 inches, about 50 pounds to Awaka, but still here to play.
And I think interesting for Arizona with Burries and Bradley. Really got 2 point guards out there and two guards. Great dish inside, and Pete with the dunk.
Yeah, beautiful big-to-big work there. Once again, Awaka catches that ball, looks at the rim for a cutting Pete for the slam.
Very nice cut right there, and the dish to Dahl. That was a beautiful play when you look right there by Christian Wells on that dime.
Yeah, once again, penetration, breaking down the defense for the drop-off and easy two. Embry-Riddle, once again, not showing a lot of fear here tonight.
And you can see right there when they double. That was something we saw in practice. We'll talk about that in a minute. Here's the dunk, Reg.
Yeah, just once again, Coach Pete flashing and flooding right down to the further rim as you're supposed to do. And once he gets his hands on it, folks.
Well, Jaden Bradley there causing the turnover. And I got to just mention this. Bradley, they just came out. Coach Tucker not happy with that turnover. But Bradley not on the top 20 list of the Bob Cousy, not in the top 10 of the Big 12. And I think those are misses, Reg.
I would agree with you there, Matt. A complete miss. Jaden Bradley has been the bedrock last year with this team, going into the Big 12, finishing second, getting into the league championship game, and really having U of A in the top 25 all year. And just his steadiness. He plays as many minutes as anybody in the nation, and he has a 2-to-1 assist-turnover ratio, so he takes great care of the basketball. He's efficient and effective. I think that's a real miss there. He's a guy, I think, that's something he's probably paying attention to. He has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder to prove everybody wrong.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's going to probably do it. But if anything, it'll do him well. Arizona out in the perimeter. We see Aristote. Another guy with an incredible physique as a freshman. Here comes Pete. This is, I'm being redundant. That has to be the 5th or 6th time he's taken it all the way. Shrugs off the defenders, and Arizona able to rebound. But, man, what a weapon to just see him come up, and here's the block.
Yeah, nice back cut there by Peters, but just a race by Awaka, pinning it to the glass there. That rim protection is going to be so huge.
Well, and an offensive player, as an analyst will always say, is going to let the rim protect him. But Awaka saw that and came to the right, didn't let the rim protect anybody.
Great anticipation there by Awaka. But looking on the floor right now, look at this floor. You have Koa Pete, and you're on the floor and just wrecking shop.
And Pete, as we've seen, the ball handler, the sort of point forward. Don Nelson made that a big thing back in the 90s. You ever play for Nelly, or you played against him? I know.
I played against him, never for him, though.
Canlin does a great job getting in the lane. See Gift right here, a really talented player. Back to Canlin, the lefty, not able to hit. Awaka, now Awaka's going to bring it up and look ahead to Burries. Got a lot of options here. Boy, Awaka off the dribble. That's something. Got a lot of options here. Boy, Awaka off the dribble. That's something you didn't see a lot last year.
No, that's the development of his game, that ability from the top of the key to rip with that right hand, take 2 hard dribbles and get there. That's something he can do. Just keeping it simple, straight line drives for the finish.
Well, and that's something Gift can do.
Yeah, Noah Gift, he's an individual. Like I said, he needs to continue to be aggressive. He's off to a fast start. He had to do a lot of the heavy lifting, from the front line players. And so he's a guy used to shouldering the load, wants to add a little offense to his game this year.
And imagine him this year playing against 4s as opposed to 5. They had Trey Townsend last year. Just look how much bigger Awaka is as Burries gets into the lane. We haven't talked a lot about Burries yet, but one thing that the coaches talk about, Reg, is his pace. And I know you played in the NBA, you recognize good pace when you see it. Really, you can just see it in real time.
He's so silky smooth with it, never gets sped up, always takes his time there, makes the right decision. And when you add that with explosiveness, and he's a body to control his body at the rim, and you have a special player there. That's why people are so excited about him. Well,
one guy's Wildcats are excited about, C.D. Gay, who has just checked in. Did not play in that St. Mary's game. C.D. Gay out of Senegal. played for Real Madrid, 6'11", 210-pound freshman, and very long.
Very long. C.D. Gay, shot blocker with those long arms, coming out of the Real Madrid program in Spain. And these are big minutes for C.D. He came to Arizona a little bit late. He had some issues in terms of getting his paperwork, but now that he's here, he's dealt with some injuries. So him getting some minutes tonight in front of a crowd, showing a little bit of nerves right there, is still big for him just to kind of have these moments where he kind of shake them off because he knows he'll be needed later in the season.
Yeah, and a classy move here. Arizona fans clapping for CD in support of him, recognizing, hey, a little nervous, didn't play in his first game. This is the time to do that.
Yeah, nice moment there for CD. To kind of feel that appreciation. Michaela Royals had his back there, and he knocked out a second one. Once again, great length. I think he could be a real shot blocker. We need the mind of Christian Coloco over time. Well,
and Awaka then stays at the 4, so he can stay at that 4 position and dominate there. Aristotle back at the 3. Man, we haven't talked a lot about him. You look at his body, Reggie, almost reminds me of an Andre Iguodala a little bit, the way he's built.
Yeah, definitely a throwback to some of those Lute Olson small forwards, the Richard Jeffersons, the Andre Iguodalas, that great length and body from day one. And so, she's another individual, really hasn't got going yet in his first 2 exhibition games. Did not play a lot last year, actually didn't play at all last year at Brewster Academy in New Hampshire. So still trying to find his legs a little bit, trying to find kind of the speed of the game.
Well, Aristotle from the Netherlands, and you mentioned it, did not play. I think that had a lot to do with him kind of finding his game and trying to knock down a 3, and right on cue. Right on. There you go.
Has a beautiful stroke there, was able to just take his time, and I think, once again, he's the first one in the gym, last one to leave, they win it.
Isaiah Wong up top to Matur Dahl. Beautiful execution by the Golden Eagles.
Yeah, a little highlight there by the Golden Eagles, playing above the rim for the alley-oop.
Yeah, that was really nice, something they'll have on film to look back at. Again, trying to post up a lot of high-low right now for Arizona. Aristotle, after hitting that 3, trying to get in the lane. Burries, you mentioned the pace, never in a hurry. Oh my goodness, got up. I haven't seen him get up that high yet in 2 games, but that was an impressive miss, if you can have an impressive miss. There's the alley-oop, Reg.
And Embry right here going above the rim. Dahl, that's the one thing he can do, is go and get it right there. Beautiful 5 by Isaiah Wong. Nice highlight there for the Golden Eagles.
Tour Dahl, 8 points, 10 rebounds in their first game against Justice. Going to be a rock for them in the middle. Really, they're one guy that has size for Embry-Riddle. Arizona pressure. You feel like the pressure has kind of picked up in this last 10 minutes. Wow, Dahl again.
Yeah, Dahl back-to-back buckets there. That's where he can be effective. When he's around the rim, you don't really want him shooting floaters at this point, but when he can get dunks and layups, that's where they need to have him.
Delhi from the free throw line. Pretty easy jump shot there. Made it look easy.
Yeah, Del Orster getting to a spot there at that 15-foot free throw line jumper. Just once again, excellent shooter. Maybe Arizona's best shooter.
Shot 41% from 3 last year. Uh-oh, Dahl again. Dahl dominating this last couple minutes.
He's on fire. 3 buckets on the last 3 possessions. Arizona late on that weak side rotation, freeing up the front of the rim.
Burries again, easy for him to get to the rim. There's that dunk edge. Dahl has been cooking right now.
Right, the dunk will get you going, and you see they got a little rhythm. He's feeling good about his thing. They're able to get to the front. Excellent job. I'm sure Tommy Lloyd's not going to be happy with that weak side defense. Just too far off, allowing too much room.
I think that was Isaiah Wong with the assist, number 11. He's does such a great job for them. You look at the last game, he played 10 assists, no turnovers. Terrific point guard, finding Dahl again, and that 1-2 punch is going to be big for Embry-Riddle this year.
It really will be, and what you say, he's the rock of their team. He was 8th in assists last year in conference, and somebody who's a facilitator hooking people up, and he needs to continue to do that.
Well, a little buzz in the arena as Bryce James checks in. His first time in a first half this year. Had a nice little stint. A couple minutes in that exhibition game against St. Mary's. There's Bryce with the goggles, working on his game, improving every day. Hasn't
been here, and maybe at Gonzaga always had one of the highest ranking offenses.
Karchinkov lost his man right there, Ethan Mackin.
A little miscommunication on that baseline out of bounds defense there. Tried to recover, from behind, but just a little bit late there on the foul. So that's something that's good to have tape on. Communication wasn't there, and I'm sure Tommy will tighten it up by next week.
And when you defend from under out of bounds, right? You want to defend with the player outside of you. You want to be in front of the player at all times.
At all times. That's the big thing. You want to keep that the guy in front of you. When you come together, you want to come together and touch. And the big thing is the guy that's on the bottom who can see the two players come together. He needs to communicate that switch. No talk on that last one. Giving an opportunity for 2 free throws.
Walker, another board to his total. Nelson bringing it up, running offense. Again, got to be just a thrill for him to play in front of this Tucson crowd from South Point High School. Went to Harvard. I was not recruited by Harvard. I don't know if you were.
I was not. They thought wisely of that. But, no, beautiful cut there by Yvonne to get along that baseline there against that zone off of these two.
Tucson's had some pretty good high school players the last 10, 15 years. They've done a pretty good job. Probably better than it was at times. Good coaching. So Walker, just hard to push him around. He's got to throw that out. Canlin again trying to get inside. Burries stopping him. Arizona expanding that lead now. 73-29.
Two NCAA tournaments, and he easily could have stayed, but he wanted to run his own shop, run his own team, and obviously it's paid out well. Last year he was coach of the year in the GSAC, and so keep in mind they came in 4th. So that shows you how much people think of the job that he's doing there, and so it's commendable to see. I love the fact that he's back here having this experience with his guys, and he's looking for a really good year.
Well, it shows there's so many ways to make it in the coaching profession. You were a coach, Reggie, coached here, coached in Japan. And I think it's interesting. Tommy Lloyd, of course, did it differently. Those 20-plus years with Mark Few up at Gonzaga, a program that, I think when he started at Gonzaga, you think of where they were. They were that kind of Cinderella. They had started to become bigger, and then Tommy Lloyd, a big reason they became a powerhouse and still are a powerhouse.
A big reason. They were a sleeping giant. They were building something there, and they were doing it in the international market, finding players kind of off the grid a little bit. And before that was a popular thing. And so they've just done obviously an excellent job. Mark Few is a Hall of Fame level coach. And for Tommy to be there, his right-hand man for all of those years, you can see why he's hit the ground running and why he's been. And even though he's not one of the hottest young coaches, we'll say hottest young here in the country.
Well, Tommy in his 5th year, he's got that 112-33 record. 2nd most wins for a coach to start his career ever. The only one with more wins, Brad Stevens at 117. So you compare Tommy Lloyd to Brad Stevens. Stevens, a Hall of Famer. Tommy Lloyd smiling there. We saw Tommy Lloyd at the Red Blue doing a little Beastie Boys after the game, and had Shaq here, had Gronk here. He's done a great job not only with this team, but I think kind of energizing and electrifying the fan base.
He really has. He is electrifying in terms of creating a culture where players want to come here and be a part of this. He will hold your feet to the fire and hold you responsible, but at the same time, he wants us the place that you want to come and grow, that you're going to enjoy yourself every single day, working hard, and I think the proof's in the pudding when you look at his record.
Brayden Burries, that easy look right there, that pace that we talked about, making it look easy. Embry-Riddle, Arizona making it tougher for them to get passes in their offense, but a good shot right there. There's Connor Ivey for the Eagles. Canlin again. Canlin's made some great moves, has not knocked down a couple of them. Nice job there getting to the free throw line.
Yeah, it was good to see him just, that time take advantage. Once again, Burries kind of just sticking with it and just with the easy off 2 feet vert dunk there. He made that look very easy, folks. Just in terms of athleticism, but JC Canlin, he's an exciting player. Talking to Coach Tucker yesterday, and he said, I had Wong and I had JC, and here we got 5'7", 5'10" backcourt, and I was trying to separate them playing one at a time, but things really turned around for us last year when we put both of them outside together. So they were 2 of my best 5. I had to do it, and so so that's great to see that. It doesn't really matter your size. If you give your team your best chance to win and you're doing all the things, you're scrappy and you're smart, Coach will put you out there, and he's out there now.
interesting coaching lesson. Like you said, you described it perfectly. They were playing, they were not playing together because he had two of the smaller players, played them both at the point. Why not play them together? Two of your best players.
Who's your best player? If they're making all the right plays, it just makes sense, and then you'll kind of figure out the other things later. But it's been successful for them. They just, both players need to remain aggressive.
Karchinkov being aggressive on this end. And Karchinkov just looks better and better every time you see him out there.
Yeah, the young man is not bashful. He's always looking to score. He's always looking to get downhill, and there's those broad shoulders of him seeking out contact. He likes contact. He seeks it out because he knows more times than not he's going to win with his size.
Yeah. Well, and he's got that outside game to be the balance to his game. And again, playing professionally overseas, playing for a team that was in the top league over there, understanding the physicality of bigger players, and this is not new to him.
Not at all. And you mentioned his father too. Just growing up in a gym, your father's a professional, played for CSKA Moscow, played for some of the bigger clubs over there in Russia. You know, it's got to rubbed off him.
Yeah.
At a very young age, he's been playing against men, so it's more so speed at this level, but in terms of physicality, he seems to have that down.
Well, not a hot take, Reg, but recruiting players whose fathers are good, pretty good. Right there, and right on cue, Karchinkov with the slam.
Vaughn showing off the hops there once again, getting into that passing lane, able to deflect it and leading to a nice run out.
Got to feel good to knock one down like that for the McHale crowd. You had a couple of those in your career.
Yeah, you want to show off those hops. Everybody can do that too.
Who had more hops than you your 4 years? Anybody?
I'm gonna say it was me.
Was it you?
Yeah.
Who's second?
Good question.
Burries inside.
Guys that came on later, Hassan Adams and
there you go.
Bayless, and had a lot of high flyers in Wildcat uniforms.
Yeah, we saw Carter Bryant last night for the Spurs high flying, and a missed dunk. It was a spectacular highlight. Nice little job right there, getting into the lane. Bryce James, another dad who has a pretty good name out there. You know, I met Bryce. There's mom right there, Savannah.
Yeah, showing her support. Savannah's come down for multiple games this year to support her son and the Wildcats, and that's great to see because you know Bryce, you know he's done such a great job. They speak so highly of his character, how he's came into this situation with no errors. He's come in to work hard every day to be part of this team, and he says, hey, the minutes I get are going to be the minutes I earn, and he wants to do that in practice and with minutes like tonight.
You know, as great as LeBron is, and you know all this talk about the GOAT and who is it and all that, I think what LeBron's done as a dad has probably equaled or surpassed his game. You look at Bronny, you look at Bryce, how they carry themselves, the young men that they are. Great job by LeBron and Savannah as parents.
Oh, beautiful job. You know, they seem to have well-rounded kids who really understand, you know, their privilege and understand their place in the world, but they don't lay back on that. They're still hard workers. You know, I know Bronny up at the Lakers every day and he's working hard, and they've just done a really nice job having a well-rounded family. Not only, you know, with their family, but also in the community. I know he does a lot of good things philanthropically with his school and with his time.
Yeah, no question. Evan Nelson on that bucket. We were talking, how about Bryce right here? Traveled with that one. A little too quick.
And James the King,
the
most popular player, you know, repping Arizona, showing how proud he is that his son is here. You know, it's really good for the brand and good for the university.
Well, I would
UConn the first.